We are being forced to ascend. There are airplanes falling out of the skies, ships being sunk like the Titanic, wars being waged, rights being taken away under false premises of emergency situations, catastrophes being planned, and all of that is forcing us into ascension. And the reason for that is because we are addicted to the current system. All of us are. And the only way out of this mess is for us to ascend our capabilities. And what I mean by that is for us to feel each other, to know each other, to feel each other's emotions as if they were our own, to know each other's thoughts as if they are our own. And we're doing that artificially right now. We're doing that through technology. You guys are knowing my thoughts right now as I'm having them. We can go on YouTube and know the thoughts and the discoveries of a scientist as they're knowing them. We can feel what others are feeling through Twitter, through Instagram, through Facebook. And we're doing that, and we're getting addicted to that. And what's happening are those rights are being taken away from us. I've just got a lot of pickers in my foot right now. And so we go on Instagram and we say something that we feel and that we think, and the people running Instagram, the people running the world, if it does not fit into their agenda, they take it down. They delete the account. They shadow ban the account. They give warnings to people who are viewing the account that this is false information. The fact is that it's information. The fact that somebody disagrees with it doesn't make it false. Information is information from the perspective of an individual. Most of us are all adults that are on these platforms. We know that if somebody says something, whether it's fact or not doesn't matter. It's a statement from an individual account. We don't need a babysitter that tells us whether some study proved it or not, because studies inherently are very limited. They're mechanistic and they're reduced to outside of the natural state of being. All studies are not the real thing. You want to study an apple, you take it off a tree, you put it underneath a microscope, that apple is no longer an apple. It's an apple in a lab, and it's not natural. And so you got somebody who's studying an apple in a lab, quote, proving some things, and then you have somebody who's actually talking about the experience of eating an apple or watching an apple on the tree. They're going to be two contradicting, quote, facts. And the one that is going to be chosen is going to be the one that matches the agenda of the platform that we are sharing our thoughts, emotions, feelings on. Now, why does this all matter? Because right now we are sharing our thoughts, emotions, and feelings on technology. Technology that is also mimicking the natural human abilities. The natural human abilities is to have an experience and then share the experience. I know I'm wobbling all over the place. It'll be better now. Because our technology is being suppressed, that's going to make it so that we're going to have to start knowing each other's emotions without these little devices. So these devices have been acting as training wheels for us. We've been knowing each other's feelings and emotions. We've been knowing each other's thoughts through these little screens. These little screens are now being overtaken. They're now being controlled. Just like the books have said throughout the ages, you know, the ones that we've all read, like 1984. And now we get to ascend by knowing each other's emotions without these devices, by knowing each other's thoughts. Some call this psychic abilities. This is really just a natural progression of humans. of hominids, really. Humanoids is really what I meant to say. Humanoids. We're mammalian humanoids. There's been many humanoids on many different planets. Sometimes they're ascended from an aquatic being, sometimes they're reptilian, sometimes they're insectoid humans. But this 5-pointed figure, 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head, 2 eyes above the nose, which is above the mouth. This is a pretty classic shape of the humanoid. And what this humanoid does is it goes through the process of being a strong individual, and then it goes through the process of being able to connect with other humanoids, and then being able to feel the other humanoids, and then know everything the other humanoids know. And that's the evolution of consciousness on a planet. We are the cells of this planet that, and should I even use the word planet? This is speaking from a gravitational universe perspective, which may or may not be the paradigm that you're most in, but I'm speaking from a gravitational universe perspective right now. The planets are beings of their own. This one is called Gaia, Pachamama. It's a being, it's an entity. We are the cells of this entity. As the entity evolves, we gain access to each other. That's the whole point. We become strong individuals with individual life experiences, and then we connect with each other. Technology has been the stepping stone for that. We've been learning to connect with each other on the other side of the world. I read a book a long time ago. It was called The Earth is Flat. And it was about how the internet, the World Wide Web, the interwebs, has connected the entire world into one dimension so that we can all share, we can all know each other, so that people in India can now be connected to people in the USA through the internet. That's what the internet did. It changed the scope of our reality. It changed our consciousness. And we got used to it very quickly. Did we not? The internet came out all of a sudden. We're driving around with things in our pockets that can connect us to the other side of the world instantaneously. There was no big deal about that. It wasn't like, it was almost like it just was natural for us, natural for that to happen. I remember, those of you who are like 40 years old and up, there is a time, so I'm 41, up until high school, there was no connecting on the internet. And then all of a sudden, 18, 19 years old, we're connected, fully connected. Within 5 years, we have devices that we can stream, we can view videos, we can chat, we can video chat across the world. This is a stepping stone to our ascension. Right now, we no longer can rely on these devices as a reliable source of each other. And we're going to have to start connecting naturally with our human technology. And in order to do that, we're going to need to practice. Because some of us don't view this as a possibility. So in order to practice, we first start connecting with ourselves. Are we able to receive the messages of our own body, of our own mind, of our own heart? Can we perceive ourselves as a bunch of individual components that are now unified into one consciousness? That is the essence of ourself. We're made up of a bunch of different organisms that are all operating just like that those levels of ascension I just talked about the humanoid. That's the cells of our body. So if we can operate in unity with ourself and we can receive the signals from our heart as they are, not through the filter of our brain, but receive the signals from our heart, receive the signals from our gut. Can you perceive what's going on in your gut? Can you tell if it's sick? Can you tell if it's happy? Can you tell if your legs, your physical body is joyful? So first we get good at practicing connecting all of the different individual parts of ourself into one unit that's cohesive, and that we can collaborate all of the pieces together into a unified message. After we do that, then we practice connecting with others. And it can be not just other people. It can be experiences. It can be the earth. It can be animals. It can be plants. It can be reality itself. Are you able to transmit signals? Are you able to collect data from buildings? Are you able to communicate with a tree? Are you able to communicate with reality and shape-shift reality around you based on your thoughts, emotions, and actions? This is a different steering wheel than what we're used to. What we're taught is that this reality is just all physical. It can't be all physical. Take yourself, for instance. There's nowhere in our body that is our consciousness. The thing that you call me, no one has seen that. No one knows where the physical component of that is. And then even if we do take all the physical components of your body, all of that changes throughout your life. Right? Every single cell regenerates itself. Every single cell regenerates itself every few months, if not every few years. So the person you were, every single cell, every single physical cell in your body that was existing when you were 4 years old, all of that physical stuff that science tells you is us and only us, that's all gone. So are you not the same person that you were when you were younger? I mean, that's a deep subject. We can go both ways on that. But the point is that if we're not just physical, if we're not only physical, then there's part of us that can extend beyond our physical body, and we can transmit and communicate with that field of energy that extends beyond us and extends into a tree, extends into a rock, extends into reality itself. Practice. There's easy ways to practice. Say you'd like to talk to somebody. Instead of texting them or calling them, just practice calling out to them etherically. Practice. Trust is an important thing here. If there's most of your body telling you this is impossible, then it's not going to happen, because that's what you're aligned to. You're aligned to it not happening. I see the questions. I'll get to them in a second. Well, I'll get to this one first. Can you elaborate? Thank you for the questions, by the way. Leilani. Leilani? Is that how you pronounce it? Leilani Marie? Leilani means Heavenly Father, or Heavenly Flower. Heavenly Flower in Hawaiian. So Leilani's saying, what are ways to get more in tune, and what should one stay away from? All right, so these questions are relevant to the stream that I'm on right now. Practice communicating with others. Instead of reaching out to them with our devices, reach out to them with ourself. Etherically, think about them. Reach out for them. Remember experiences you had with them. See how long it takes them to either connect with you on their device, or they just randomly show up where you are. And you will be surprised at the power that you have when you actually start doing this. We trust that we can walk and we can move through physical reality because that's what we're taught. We're taught that we can move through physical reality. We have these things called legs, and we use them to walk, and we move our consciousness through physical reality by moving our body through physical reality. When you start to practice moving your consciousness through time and space into other individuals, into other spaces, and you start to perceive that you actually have power to do that, you're going to be shocked at that. And it's just like when you remember riding a bike. It took some time. And if you forget how to ride a bike or what that was like, try riding a unicycle now, or try doing things with your left hand. You start, or your weak hand, I should say, or your support hand, whatever you want to call it, your non-dominant hand. Start doing things that take, like writing or throwing, things that take skill. Start doing it with your non-dominant hand. It's going to bring you back to when you were 3 years old, the first time you ever tried it. That's what this is like. It's almost like you can't really grasp it. You can't really grasp the control mechanism, but you can perceive that it's there somehow. And you start to learn the skill after repetition, and it starts to make sense in more than your body and brain. It starts to make sense as like an actual mechanism that you have control over and can manipulate, and you have power. And so this person, Leilani, asked, how can you get in tuned? So it's practice. It's practice. And it's practice because you need to practice, because there's going to be so many doubts in your mind. I don't want to spellcast this, but there may be a lot of doubts in your mind. You tell your friends that you're doing this. If they call you after you think about them, you're going to maybe reveal to them that you called out to them. Some of them will be on board, some of them won't. And so you keep on practicing, and then you start relying on it. This is what's important. If you learned how to walk, but you never walked, and you just sat down on the couch and you said, in theory, that's amazing. I know how to walk, but you know what? I just don't do it because it doesn't serve me very much. You're going to lose the ability to walk. So once you gain this ability, you must rely on it. When you rely on it, it's like a switch. In the universe, in the reality, you ascend a level, you gain an ability to access this control mechanism. And you start using it, you start relying on it. You don't freak out if you need something anymore, you just call out and you trust that it's coming. Now this sounds very woo-woo, but it's not just calling out. I always say this control mechanism is controlled by your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. So just saying, I need a Ferrari, and not matching that with thoughts, not being in line with it in your thoughts, not being in line with it in your actions, is not necessarily going to have a Ferrari pull up into your house tomorrow. Or maybe it is, but it's your sister's new boyfriend that has it, and it's not yours because you aren't as in line with that reality. There is another good question here. What should one stay away from? It's not so much staying away, because that's motivated by fear and motivated by what to move away from. Continue to focus on your desires. It is so extremely important. And everyone thinks that everyone wants money. No, very few people want money or desire money. Very few people desire money. They desire the things that they think money is going to give them. So figure out at the core what it is that you're desiring, what's calling you. It's the other thing here, is that the tuning isn't just tuning into yourself, it's tuning into the full you. And that's what you get when you actually realize that you're doing this, is that the reason why you can do this is because this is all us. So just like we move our hand in our physical body, this is all connected at a certain level. And when we access that level, we start acting in a way that it's all us. We don't just smash the spider that's in our house because of habit of that's what we've done our entire life, because we see the spider as us. We don't just continue watering our plants like they're just external objects that need anything. We actually communicate with them. A few years ago, I lost most of my friends as they are on autopilot, wanting virtual connections. Can you give us an example of your process for this? I think I'm doing that. Maybe how to make it simple in a way if you are doubting your ability. Okay, there's a follow-up question. Thank you for that. Hi from Ireland. Have you overcome boredom? How have you overcome boredom? Boredom is much better than being overstimulated. Boredom is just a label that you give yourself for not appreciating yourself. Because the only way you can be bored is to resist what is now. It's to resist yourself. Even if yourself is being home alone, you're resisting that. So, what was the other question? Maybe how to make it simple in a way if you are doubting your ability. As I said, go back to the basics. Training wheels. Training wheels. Can you call out to a friend? Can you create a front row parking space? Can you call into your life the perfect opportunity? The thing is, when you first hear about this, like I mentioned before, you're thinking, Ferrari! Ferrari! That is so far, for most of us, outside of our current reality. Just like, I'm going to own a Ferrari. It's so far out. And the thing is, a lot of us, when we do get enough money to afford a Ferrari, it's not necessarily what we would desire in that moment. I mean, $2,000-$3,000 a month, it's not that much. A lot of people can do it. Well, $2,000 to $5,000 a month. It's depending on if it's used. I'm sure it can go up to 10 G's a month. This is money that a lot of people have, but Ferrari isn't necessarily on the list when you have that sort of money coming in. Money changes when you get it. And looking at what you need for your life to be perfect in this moment is deeper than materialistic things. Can you reach for and try to balance and intend and stabilize your thoughts, emotions, and feelings, thoughts, emotions, and actions, my bad, onto, I don't want to say something more reasonable, but something that elevates your existence now, your current existence now. Truly reach into that, because we all have different things for that. All of us are in different levels of life. Some of us, Ferrari is the next thing that does add value to our business. You know, like meeting clients in a Ferrari actually makes you more money than the Ferrari costs in certain circumstances. And so I get it. I mean, we spend 4 G's a month on car payments. It's quite ridiculous. However, the justification is that we are able to attain more business with that. And so it's not just a waste of money. And that's what homes and cars and all of that is used in a responsible way if it is an asset some way, as opposed to, I just want a fast red car. I did this with my mom all the time, thought about her and she'd call me and vice versa. Great. So this whole thing we got way off topic talking about cars. This whole thing, how do you overcome fear of a result? How do you overcome fear of a result? You must override it. You have to know what is the vision, what is what you're going for. And when you have that, that overtakes reality, and you don't get rid of the fear, you get more courage as a result of that. So if you really stabilize into why you're doing what you're doing, then the fear is almost going to be the direction that you are going to go. Because gaining the courage, gaining the experience of going through what you fear is usually the exact direction that we're going. And so fear is usually looked at as a bad thing. I've heard fear being the opposite of love. You know, like the opposite of love isn't anger or hate. The opposite of love is fear. It closes you down. So to get back to that full spectrum of self, you go into the fear. And so fear is necessary. Everything is necessary that we have here. Everything. Even the unspeakable things. Who has time to be bored? I'm always thinking of doing something. Doing anything like earning money, exercise, making videos, etc. in life is always comes from boredom, I feel. Is that true? That's an interesting take. Doing anything, once again, it's just the origin place. Are we moving away from what we do not desire, or are we moving towards what we desire? Because, yeah, on autopilot, we move away from the things that cause pain, like boredom. And then we just move away from that. But the thing is, we're always going to be gravitating around the things that don't serve us, as opposed to consistently going towards the greatest expression of self. Things like boredom don't even exist because you're so far away from anything that is boring in that reality. Yes, but what are you actually doing? How does your practice with this work exactly? Sitting in stillness and having the thought for a few seconds and then letting it go? How can I answer that quickly? Because obviously this is think about the education that we've had in our current level of understanding, how most of us are conditioned. That took like a solid 20 years, right? Kindergarten through high school, through college. It's like a solid 20 years. Realize that for you to completely unlearn most of what you learned, because that was all just conditioning, it was programming, and then moving towards a new state of being is going to take energy. It's going to take practice. Think about the sports that you've learned. Think about the musical instruments that you've learned how to manipulate. It takes a lot of energy and practice and focus. And it's not just one thing that you do. I said it earlier, you get into yourself, you get in tune with yourself, then you start getting in tune with everything around you, then you can start getting in tune with reality, and you start operating as if there's no others, and that this is all you. And guess what every single religion discusses? That there's some sort of entity, some sort of godly figure that is all-powerful, that has existed throughout all time and space, and that is all-knowing. And that would be the existence of everything, right? Everything that ever was is this figure. And the more that you practice what I'm saying right now, the closer you get into letting that everythingness come channel through you. And it's a practice. And maybe it doesn't. I'm not saying that it starts with us. This is more of an opening than a reaching for, but the reaching for allows us to practice. It gives us an intention. It gives us an intention to open. But then you find out that it's just like everything. It's a paradox. What you thought you were reaching for and creating already was, because time doesn't exist linearly. And all you did was tune into it. All you did was notice it. All you did was recognize it. Come on, Solar. And so this reality is filled with paradoxes. And so getting into, what are you doing in the front seat, boy? Getting into the trap of trying to figure out what's right, what's true, what's false. This is all not necessary, because everything is going to be true and everything is going to be false at the same thing. Everything is everything and everything is nothing. When you are deeply connected to everything, existent life itself puts you in awe, bliss. There's always so much amazing, small, miraculous things happening. Observe nature. Bro, just strengthening the solar plexus, live through the solar plexus. That's all you have to do. Your stomach is your best friend. It is, that's where you're projected from. And so getting in tune with that allows you to go in the direction of your greatest expression of self. Thank you. It makes sense to focus on what I am aiming for. Then when I feel the fear, the goal will outpace it and will become more courageous. Feel the fear and do it anyways. Yes, our grandmas didn't say these things for no reason. Boredom comes from disconnection. Fear is an activator of bravery. Exactly. It's an indicator that that's the way. Thank you guys for the comments and questions. Until next time. Bye-bye.